Hey guys, it's Karina with Karina Loves to Plan. Welcome back to my channel. It is that time of the month where I am doing my currently inked. So I'm just going to take you through the pens from last month and give you a little bit of what I thought of all of these pens. So let's get started. So just a close-up of everything here. So that first pen that I used in October was my Pilot Vanishing Point, and it has Pilot Iroshizuku Tsukushi. So it's actually a really, really nice brown. What I thought was interesting about this particular pen and ink combination is, one, I love Pilot gold nibs. It's fantastic, just glides across the page. But then with this brown, it felt like when I was writing with it, it would go down one shade of brown, but then it would dry completely differently. I absolutely loved it. And I'll just give you a quick snapshot of what it looks like in my Rhodia, because one of the things that I also do is actually make notes. There we go. I'm just transcribing a book here just to really get to know the pen and see how it writes in my journal as well as my Rhodia book. So I really loved the combination, and I still have a little bit of ink left in this. Like, how much is left in here? Oh, there's like a teeny tiny bit. So I will use that it'll probably be good until the end of the day, and then I can clean that out. I didn't have to refill this at all because it wasn't one that I used as often. But also I think I kept myself from using it more often because I knew there was only so little of it. But I loved that combination. The next one is my Lamy All-Star with a 1.1 stub, and it had Diamine Caramel Sparkle in it, and I loved that combination. I mean, I loved anything in my 1.1 stub nib, but I mean, look at the way that looks in the Rhodia paper. Really, really pretty. And let me see if there's any more. I think that was one of the last ones I did. But I really like the way that looks, and even the shimmer looks really, really good in there. And then I guess if you can bring that up a little closer, you can see a little bit of the shimmer in there too. Really good pen ink combination. I'm trying to put shimmer inks in the stub nibs just because that you can really see the shimmer that way. The next pen that I used was my Pilot Kakuno with a calligraphy medium nib. So this one was kind of like my Franken pen. It was a clear Pilot Kakuno with a calligraphy medium nib from the Pilot Plumix, and then I put in a Con 70 converter. So it was really a Franken pen, but I really liked the combination of the stub nib or the calligraphy medium nib with the Le Bon Aphrodite. I really like that color. It looks a little bit brown on camera, but it's this dusty brownish pink. I really love that shade of brown pink. I really love the combination of that. The difference between these two stubs though is that this one feels a little bit slicier. I don't want to say scratchy because it's not scratchy. I think it could be the angle that I'm holding the pen, but this one is really, really smooth. It feels like the edges are very much rounded on the 1.1 stub, whereas this one, it feels the edges are a little bit sharper on that calligraphy medium. The next one is my Benu Euphoria in Ocean Breeze, and this one has Colorverse Hayabasu glistening, and I actually used the whole sample this month, or I'm still in the process of using. I wanted to be able to use the whole sample, so I think I finished the sample maybe halfway through the month, and then I refilled it. So there's still a little bit left. I'm going to, how much is there? I can't even see that, but there is a little bit left in here. So I'm going to keep transcribing my book using this pen, and it's just a great combination. I mean, it's a fine nib, so I wasn't sure how well this would write with a shimmer ink, but it writes gloriously. And I'm saying the word glorious because, I mean, I heard it on my trip, but look at the way that writes. So smooth. And I mean, yes, you can see a little bit of the shimmer. It turns out a little bit better on, there you go. You can see the shimmer there. Really great combination. I highly recommend that ink. And I was really surprised that I had no hard starts with it, especially with the shimmer. It flowed beautifully. So loved the Benu Euphoria with the shimmer ink. And then I have my Pelikan M605 in the black tortoiseshell, and this has Le Bon Hera. And I'll show you a writing sample with this. I really liked it, and I really, the flow, I feel like it had an average flow. It wasn't too wet, but it was just what I needed for the writing. I really liked the way that it is on the Rhodia paper, but also loved it for journaling. Again, a great combination. My only thing with this pen is I don't know how much ink is left in here. That's my only thing. So I'm just going to keep writing until it dries out, basically. So I still have ink in these two. and actually these 3. And I'll show you my last pen as well. 4th pen that I have is the Le Bon Rosa in Lilac, and this has a medium nib, and I love this pen. Love, love, love this pen. I used this in my daily journal, my 5-year journal, and it has Sailor Irameku Seki. And it was so weird, this ink, because I'll show you my journal. At the beginning of October, like, it was a very light ink. But then when you go towards the end of October, it seemed to darken up a bit. Do you see the difference there? Crazy how that ink can change over time. It was crazy. All right, but those were my currently inked from October. And to be honest, I love them all. There wasn't anything that I disliked out of that whole list. So let's move on to this month. So the notebooks I have here in front of me are the A6 Hobonichi notebook, and I have a link to that in the description below. And then I have my A6 Midori here. I haven't been using this one as much as this one. I mean, this one is like full, and I will be starting a new ink journal in January. But this one I haven't used as much. I'm just not a fan of this paper. And I bought it when I was very new to the hobby, not too sure what to do with things. I think I may use this maybe for like fountain pen ink paintings. I'm not sure, but I'm not really a fan of this paper, so I may not continue using it after 2022, but I still want to do comparisons for my currently inked for this year. So let's flip to this page. Oh, where is it? So the first pen in my currently inked is one of my newest. I have 3 new pens this month. Yes, 3. First one is the Narwhal or the Nahvalur Nautilus in Grand Rhapsody. And this has, ooh, very tight on the cap here. This has a fine steel nib, and I'll leave it here in the corner, my initial unboxing. But this pen was sent to me by Gold Spot Pens, actually. And the ink that is currently in here is actually a new ink to me as well. So again, this is the Nahvalur Nautilus. I'm not gonna have enough room for everything. Grand Rhapsody. And it has a fine nib, and it is wonderfully smooth. And it currently has, I'm just gonna Ferris wheel press steeped umber, and it is actually quite smooth even on this Midori paper. So let's do my things, my leaves, which I really like doing, and then these swirlies, lines, just to give an impression of what the ink looks like. And actually it does have a good flow on the Midori paper. And then here on the 52 GSM Tomoe River paper, so smooth. I mean, this paper, I feel like it has more drag. So with the Tomoe River paper, it's just smoother. It doesn't have that drag that the Midori paper does. What am I doing? Grand Rhapsody. And again, it's a fine steel nib with Ferris wheel press, steeped umber. I hope I got that right. Yes. Oh, I was really afraid I had the wrong ink name there for a sec. And I really like that brown. It's like this burgundy brown, really beautiful. And when I first did the unboxing of these inks, I was a little unsure that they were a bit dry, but actually the flow in this pen is quite good. So that is the Narwhal Nautilus Grand Rhapsody. The next pen I have inked is also a new pen. So I actually have 4 new pens in this lineup, and this one is actually from the Angel shop, and this one is from her seconds actually. So she was selling these at a discount because there were some, I think, minor scratches and things, but I don't see anything imperfect about this pen whatsoever. And it is a steel hooded nib. And from what I know at the moment, it only takes cartridges. I'm still trying to find out if it can take a converter. But what I did with this one is I actually took the cartridge, or the empty cartridge, from the previous Angel shop pen, and I cleaned it out, and then using a syringe, I put in the ink here. So I will reuse this converter. And it's really easy to do if you have a syringe, and you can easily clean it out and then easily put in new inks there every month. So I've created kind of my own converter that way. But yeah, so the ink in here, I haven't done an unboxing of this pen because it is very similar to the other Angel shop pen. It's just in its looks, it just is different, and it only comes in the 1 nib size. But so far, even on the Midori paper, sorry for the shaking, it is very smooth. So I'm going to just say the Angel shop, and I think this is the Glamorous, and I believe it's just the fine nib. And it currently has, this is a new ink as well, Diamine Iridescent Robert. This one was sent to me by Olga, and actually my husband also has this in his TWSBI Go because he wanted to use it. So it looks very cool on this paper, but I know that Midori doesn't always show off the different shading or sheening properties, so that's why I like to compare it to the Tomoe River paper. But so far, really smooth on that paper. And again, my love of papers is with the Tomoe River paper. It's just so smooth with this Angel shop Glamorous pen. Oh, how do I spell Glamorous? And again, with a fine nib with Diamine Iridescent Robert. And if you guys didn't watch my ink swap haul, the reason that I love this ink, one is that Diamine is an ink company based in the UK, but this particular ink is also an exclusive with Cult Pens, which is a UK company, and my husband's name is Robert, and he is born and bred in the UK, so the ink is him. The ink is him. So very smooth. It looks very similar, but if you look at it closely, I'm going to show you when it dries, but it's got that maroon burgundy, but then if you look close up, there is, I can't really see it here, there is a little bit of green sheen there. Do you see that? A little bit of green sheen. Really, really cool. So that is the Glamorous pen. The next pen in my lineup is this TWSBI Eco in Smoke Rose Gold, and you can already see a little bit of the shimmer that's in here, so I need to shake that up. And this has a 1.1 stub nib. Love this nib. Love this nib. So we'll be able to tell what ink is in here. I think all of the inks that I'm using are new to me, or ones that I've just got this month. So this is the TWSBI Eco Smoke Rose Gold with a 1.1 stub. Oh shoot. And it has Ferris wheel press Lady Rose in gold. So this was from Sandy, Sandoodle's desk, and we met at the Planners Gonna Plan conference, and she gave me a few ink samples, and I am so thankful for this one. I love this one. Once I've written on both papers, I will show you what it looks like close up, because it looks amazing. And actually, the combination of this pen with this ink and this paper, or like with the Midori paper, actually really nice. So now in the Tomoe River paper, which is so smooth, lovely. It looks a little light here. It looks lighter on the Tomoe River paper than it does on the Midori. But the flow is really nice. And this was the thing I was afraid of with the Ferris wheel press inks, that they would be a little bit dry and too light, but so far, depending on the nib, I really, really enjoy them. So, Lady Rose in gold. Beautiful. And I love this stub nib. This stub nib with the TWSBI Eco is so smooth. It feels a bit wider than the Lamy All-Star 1.1 stub. Definitely broader than the Pilot Kakuno stub. But I love that. Let me bring that closer to you so you guys can see the shimmer in that. You guys see a little bit of that rose gold shimmer. So pretty. So that is my TWSBI Eco in Smoke Rose Gold. My next pen is another new acquisition. Gosh, 4 new pens, crazy. And this is the Pilot Prera that I bought off of Amazon, and you can actually purchase this opaque body from Jet Pens as well. But this is the Pilot Prera in the ivory, and it came with a fine nib, but with my pilots, the Pilot Kakuno, the Metropolitan, the Plumix, the nibs are interchangeable. So this is actually a Pilot Kakuno medium nib, and I love that it winks at you. So I did change that over, and then with this particular one, I actually didn't put in the Con 40 cartridge or converter. I ended up actually cleaning out the Pilot cartridge that was in here, and then with a syringe putting in this particular ink, and I love the way that that has worked out. So I get a greater ink capacity with the cartridge than I would have with the Con 40. So this, and this one I was afraid of being a little bit too dry because it felt really dry when I did the unboxing, but it's actually not too bad right now. So this is my Pilot Prera with a medium nib, and you can already tell how fine this is compared to everything else. And this has Ferris wheel, press, oyster hour. And actually very smooth. I love the medium Pilot nibs, the medium Pilot steel nibs. Really nice, really smooth, and very good flow. I feel like there's a theme going here with my ink choices, but don't worry, it will change a little. And then on the Tomoe River paper, flow is amazingly good actually in this pen. And again, the Pilot Prera with a medium nib. And this feels so good in my hand. Like, it is a little bit more expensive than a Pilot Metropolitan, but it feels so much better in my hand, and I love the way that this looks. And again, Ferris wheel, press, oyster hour. And I love that Ferris wheel press is a Canadian company. So smooth, and actually the flow is not an issue with this pen whatsoever. And I thought it would be too light to write in, but with a medium nib, it actually is working out quite well. So that is my Pilot Prera with a medium nib with Ferris wheel press oyster hour. My second last pen is my Sailor Pro Gear Slim in Dragon Palace, and this has a 14K medium fine nib. And this was the first Sailor that I purchased, and I only have 2 Sailors at the moment. I feel like that's foreshadowing into what's coming in a few videos from now. But I love this because of, like, look at all the sparkles in this pen. Kind of matches my nails. Look at all the sparkles in here. It is a smaller pen, but I do really like it. So the ink in here is actually a Sailor ink, and I always have issues with the Sailor pen and the Sailor ink on the Midori paper. It is smooth, but it just feels like there's that much more drag on the Midori. Oh gosh, I cannot spell slim. That says slum. Than it does on the Tomoe River paper. So this has Sailor, Yurameku, Amamoyoi. And I chose this one because of the green, but it actually has different shades of pink in there as well. Love all of the Yurameku inks. I don't need to buy all of them. I don't need to buy full bottles of all of them. Samples were good. But it is, the ink and paper, or ink pen and paper combination is definitely, I prefer it in the on the Tomoe River paper. It feels wetter on here. There's less drag. Pro Gear Slim with a medium fine. And again, Sailor, Yurameku, Amamoyoi. And you can see the difference in the colors of the ink and the shading of the ink depending on whether it's the Tomoe River paper or the Midori. This whole Yurameku line is so interesting because depending on which paper you're using, different properties of the ink show up. I've seen somebody on Instagram who actually did a test on Tomoe River paper versus bank paper, and the inks looked completely different. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. So that is my Sailor Pro Gear Slim and Dragon Palace with a medium fine nib with Sailor Yurameku Amamoyoi. And my last pen is one that I feel like I've waited the longest for this one. This is my Pelikan M605 in the green and white stripes, and this has a cursive italic fine nib. But look at just the detailing on that nib. It is beautiful. One of the most beautiful nibs that I have. And I had this ground from a fine nib to a cursive italic. So it is my first custom grind nib. And it was done by Dan at the Nibsmith. And this wasn't a pen that was originally on my radar to purchase, but when the pen went on sale, and depending on the price of the pen, the nib grind can be done for free with no additional costs, I had to jump on it. And I had seen, I think it's Alicia of Adventure Denali who has cursive italic nibs, and I love seeing her write with it. So this is the Pelikan M605 with a cursive italic fine. Oop. And this currently has Ferris wheel press, Spruce County Post. Whoop, spruce. You can hear that on the page, but it is actually smooth. And I'll show you the line variation here. But broad downstrokes, very thin cross strokes. And the way that I described it when I was unboxing it was that it's very slicey. It's not scratchy, but it's slicey. You know, whereas the edges of like the 1.1 stub on the TWSBI Eco Rose Gold are very rounded. This one is more squared off, but it still feels great on the Midori paper. Then on the Tomoe River paper, love. Love, 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 love. Can you tell I like it? So the Pelikan M605. Now with this particular grind, you do have to hold your pen, I believe, at a slightly lower angle, because if I was to write like this, it would make it very hard. It would feel a lot scratchier, but I think holding it at a lower angle to the paper makes the experience what it should be. So it's Ferris wheel press, Spruce County Post. Oh, so pretty. Oh, love it. And this green, I feel like, is a good transition from fall to holiday. And I think you can kind of see what theme I was going with all of these ink and pen combinations. It feels fall, but also festive with some of the shimmering in here. So those are all my pens and inks for the month of November, and I'm actually really excited to be using 4 new pens and really getting to know them. And like I said, one of the things that I've been doing now is actually transcribing a book, so I really get a sense of how the pen writes, but also I use up more ink because I have way too many to last me a lifetime. All right, well, what do you guys have inked for this month, and what is your process for inking? Do you plan it out ahead of time like I do, or do you kind of just go with the flow and ink up what you feel like doing throughout the month? Again, that is it for me. If you guys have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. If you like this video, don't forget to leave me a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Thanks again for watching and have yourselves a great day.